People often ask me, how do you even begin to live again after something so horrific? There was a time when I didn't think I'd ever speak again. After the attack, I didn't just feel broken, I felt erased. I had been taken to the edge of death, physically destroyed, emotionally shattered. For a long time, I stayed in that silence, overwhelmed by fear, shame, and confusion. But then, something inside me whispered, "You survived for a reason." I realized that silence helps no one, not me, and not anyone who might be walking in darkness right now. So I decided that if I had been given a second chance at life, I was going to use it. I was going to speak, not just about what happened, but about what's possible after pain. My first speech wasn't perfect. My voice trembled. My hands shook. But when I saw the eyes of the people listening, when I saw their tears, their strength, their healing, I knew that my story was no longer mine alone. It belonged to everyone who needed to hear, "You are stronger than you think." Since then, I've spoken in more than 35 countries. Not because I'm special, not because I want to relive what happened, but because people need to believe that we can survive, that we can rebuild, that we are not defined by what's done to us, but by what we choose to do next. If I can survive, becoming a speaker wasn't about telling my tragedy. It was about turning it into triumph. I talk about fear, about trauma, but most importantly, I talk about choice. I chose to fight. I chose to forgive. I chose to rise. And through every stage, I found that the more I spoke, the more I healed. Each time I told my story, I took my power back. Each time I reached someone else's heart, I stitched a piece of my own back together. There is life after violence. There is light after darkness. And yes, there is power after pain. I am not a victim. I am a survivor. And more than that, I am a voice. If my story helps one person choose life, choose healing, or simply take one more step forward, then everything I endured was not in vain. So I stand on this stage, not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who found strength in vulnerability and power in sharing. Your story matters too. Your voice can change lives, just like mine did. They cut my throat. They tried to silence me. But I still have a voice. And more importantly, I have life. Writing my book, I Have Life, was one of the most terrifying things I've ever done. More frightening, in some ways, than the night I was attacked, because surviving that night was instinct. Writing about it, that required something else. It required courage of a different kind. At first, I resisted the idea. I didn't want the world to know the details. I didn't want to reopen those words. But over time, I realized my story wasn't just mine anymore. Every time I spoke to someone, every time I received a letter from someone who had been hurt, lost, or struggling, I felt a responsibility. If my pain could become someone else's strength, then I had to write it down. The writing process with my co-author, Marion Tum, was raw and brutal. I had to relive every moment, every sound, every feeling, every second I fought for my life. Some days I broke down completely, but every tear was worth it, because with every word, I took back a part of myself. I Have Life isn't just about the attack. It's about what happened after the dark days, the trauma, the healing, the moments of hope, the small wins, the rediscovery of joy. It's about what it means to rebuild. Not just your body, but your identity, your trust, your spirit. When the book was published, what would people think? Would they pity me? Judge me? But instead, I was overwhelmed with love. People saw not a victim, but a fighter. A woman who refused to give up. And in their eyes, I found my strength reflected back. Since then, I've met people from around the world who tell me, your book saved me, or your story helped me forgive, or even, I chose to live because you did. And that is everything. Writing I Have Life gave me back my voice. It gave me purpose. It turned pain into something beautiful, something that moves people, heals people, and empowers them. The book became more than pages. It became a life here, for me, and for so many others. I'm not an author by profession, but I'm a storyteller by truth. Because every one of us has a story worth telling, and every story has the power to change a life. I named the book I Have Life, not just because I survived, but because I truly began to live again. And if my words can help even one person believe in their own tomorrow, then that, to me, is the greatest success of all. They tried to end my life instead. They gave me a story that gives others life. Becoming the butterfly, a new purpose after pain. They broke my body, but they could not break my spirit. Like the butterfly, I was reborn fragile at first, but destined to fly. When I was fighting for my life that night, crawling with my throat cut open, holding my own head together, I wasn't thinking about survival. I was thinking about love, about my mother, about one more sunrise, about the smallest hope that life could still exist on the other side of darkness. And somehow it did. But surviving was only the beginning. After the court cases, the hospital stays, and the shock faded, I was left with a haunting question. Now, what? Who was I supposed to be? Now that I wasn't the same girl I used to be, I didn't want to be remembered only as the girl who got attacked. I wanted to be more than that. I needed to find meaning. I needed a purpose. That's when the butterfly entered my life. Not as a symbol of beauty, but a transformation. The butterfly is delicate, yes. But before it flies, it has to endure darkness, isolation, struggle. And then, from that cocoon, it emerges with wings. Changed forever, but more beautiful because of it. I saw myself in that story. I was no longer the caterpillar. I had been through my cocoon, through pain, fear, and the crushing silence of trauma. But somehow, I had emerged, changed, stronger, alive. So when I was asked to become the ambassador of the butterfly revolution, I said yes without hesitation, because the butterfly revolution isn't about perfection. It's about evolution. Then so can you. It's about reclaiming your life after it's been shattered. So can you. It's about healing loudly so others know they're not alone in their pain. As an ambassador, I share this message with women, children, and survivors everywhere. You are not broken. You are becoming. We host workshops, healing circles, and so can you, and support programs for people who've gone through their own versions of the cocoon. Abuse, trauma, loss. And we teach them to see themselves not as victims, but as wings in progress. And through every story I hear, every tear I hold, I find pieces of myself again. So can you. I'm reminded that we're never truly alone, that our pain can unite us. But it's our courage that transforms us. Being a part of the butterfly revolution gave me purpose. It showed me that surviving isn't the final chapter. Thriving is. So to anyone watching this who feels stuck in their cocoon, I want to say this: don't rush your transformation. You're not finished yet. Then so can you. When your wings, you'll fly higher than you ever imagined. My story around the world. My voice was nearly taken from me. But now, it speaks across the world. Not about fear, but about strength. If someone had told me, years ago, lying in a hospital bed, after barely surviving the unthinkable, that one day I'd be standing on stages in New York, Sydney, London, and Tokyo, I wouldn't have believed it. In those early days, I could barely speak my own truth aloud, let alone share it with strangers. I was broken, scarred, scared. But somewhere deep inside, I knew I didn't survive to stay silent. I didn't choose what happened to me. But I did choose what to do with it. When I gave my first speech in my hometown of Port Elizabeth, my hands trembled. My heart was racing. But after I spoke, a woman came up to me with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you. I thought I was alone. Now I know I'm not." That moment changed everything. Since then, I've been blessed. Not just to share my story, but to hear so many others. In over 35 countries, I've stood in front of thousands of people. Students, business leaders, trauma survivors, even prisoners. And I've told them the truth. We all face something. But it's how we rise that defines us. I've spoken in high schools in Germany, where girls came up to me afterward and hugged me, whispering, "You gave me hope." I've spoken in corporate halls in Singapore, where people in suits wiped away tears. I've stood on stages in Canada, India, Brazil, and shared not just my pain, but my transformation. Because my story isn't just about what two men did to me. It's about what I did with what was left. It's about choosing light after darkness, choosing love after hate, and choosing to speak after being silenced. Everywhere I go, I meet people who have survived something. Abuse, illness, heartbreak. And when they hear my story, I watch their eyes change. I see the spark come back, because if I can stand here, scarred, but standing, then maybe they can too. So can you. Being a global speaker has never been about fame or applause for me. It's about connection. It's about connection. It's about reaching someone across the world and saying, "I see you. I understand you. And you're not alone." I've learned that pain knows no language. But neither does courage. And when you use your voice with purpose, it becomes more than sound. It becomes healing. My attackers tried to end my life. Instead, they gave me a story that now touches lives in every corner of the globe. I speak not just for myself, but for every person who thought they couldn't go on and did. This is my message to the world. Your story matters. And someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear it. Why I chose hope over hate. They tried to destroy Meg, but I chose to rebuild with love. People often ask me, how can you forgive? How can you speak about what happened without anger? The truth is, I do feel anger, feel fear. I feel sadness. I feel everything. But what I don't feel is hate. After what happened to me, the attack, the trauma, the darkness, hate would have been easy. It would have made sense. It would have given me something to hold on to when everything else was taken away. But I knew early on, hate would only tie me to them forever. And That was something I refused to allow. I didn't want to spend my life trapped in that one moment. That one. I didn't want my spirit to become as broken as my body had been. So I made a decision. Not once, but every day. To choose something greater than revenge. I chose hope. Hope meant healing. Hope meant looking forward. Hope meant finding the strength to believe in people again. To trust, to smile, to love. Choosing hope didn't erase the scars. It didn't undo the pain, but it gave me a path through it. I carried that message into every speech I gave, into every room where someone was suffering silently. I told them what I tell you now. You are not what happened to you, can you? You are who you decide to become after. And I decided to become a voice of light, not bitterness, not blame, but light. This is not about being a saint. I'm not fearless or perfect. I'm just human. A woman who lived through something horrific and chose not to let define her. To anyone holding on to pain, anger, or shaming, I see you. I understand you. But please don't let hate write your story. Let hope write it. Let healing write it. Because in the end, it's not what they did that matters most. It's what we do next that truly defines us. And I chose love, life. I chose to rise.